let's look at the incentive theory and compare it with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So in terms of the incentive theory, what I want you to primarily think about, the first word I want you to think about is learning. Because unlike the drive reduction theory that says motivation is primarily, or attempts to explain behavior primarily through biological needs and biological drives, the incentive theory actually looks towards learning as opposed to innate drives and desires. So we're talking about learning and we're talking about stimuli, so think back to Unit 6. And basically incentives are stimuli, anything external to the organism that we may be drawn or repelled to. Because remember, the things that we're repelled to can also cause us to act in a certain way. So what happens is, over time, we associate various stimuli with rewards or punishment, right? Starting to sound familiar. And this part is obviously important. I want you to read along, and remember, you can pause me. So let's try to give an example of the incentive theory to help you understand. So I have a friend, Deborah, and in college we liked to study together, but we just had too much fun and hardly ever got any studying done. We were just making jokes and so forth. And so therefore, I didn't really do so well on my test after studying with Deborah. So I'm less likely to engage in that behavior again if, in fact, I'm concerned about my grades in my psychology class. So that motivates my behavior. Because remember, motivation is all about why do we do what we do? What motivates us, right? Motivation is something that drives us or directs our behavior. So in the future, you're less likely to probably study with Deborah if you're a conscientious student and you care about your grade, right? So that motivates that behavior. Now we're going to switch over to the humanistic world where Abraham Maslow comes forth with a hierarchy of needs. What's really important is he's trying to talk about an all-encompassing theory of motivation that encapsulates both biological needs, social needs, and creative and individualistic needs. Right, so that's that second one right here. What's really important about Maslow is he saw the hierarchy as, I wouldn't say completely rigid, but it's difficult to move up that hierarchy unless the lower needs have already been satisfied. A kind of funny example I saw in a textbook was, it's hard to study when you really have to pee, right? So the biological need to have to go to the bathroom after you drank a lot of coffee makes it quite difficult to get to that next step, right? Because studying is not a biological need. It's not low on Maslow's hierarchy, right? So you have to progress through the hierarchy to get to the top, okay? Now, some of the critiques are also important to understand. These are not the only critiques, so make sure you're looking at Myers and the rest of the PowerPoint. But for the most part, this does not work in group-oriented cultures. We call them collectivist cultures. That's where the identity is, your identity is bound up with how other people see you. Think about cultures like China and Japan. Many Asian cultures are more collectivist in spirit. More Western-oriented cultures, especially the United States, are individualistic. Maslow's hierarchy seems to be more applicable to individualistic cultures, meaning it may not be a universally valid way to explain human motivation. It may be a valid way to explain Western motivation.